Athena's strand disappeared from her family's front yard at the same time FedEx driver Tanner Horner delivered her Christmas gift to their home. This week, a jury is deciding whether to sentence him to death, and we now know Tanner planned all of this and then tried to blame his alter ego. On November 30th, Athena's stepmom called 911 around 6 p.m. after not being able to find her anywhere on their property in Paradise, Texas. While police were searching for her that night, they found this package on the lawn that was delivered by FedEx right around when she went missing. They then learned that the driver assigned to the route was 31-year-old Tanner Horner, who was a new father himself, and that he didn't complete any of the other deliveries that he had scheduled after theirs. Investigators stopped him on his route the next day and asked him if he knew anything about Athena's case, and he told them that he did not remember even going to that address. But then 2 days later, they got footage from inside his truck, and before Tanner covered the camera, they could see he put Athena inside and that she didn't appear to be injured. They thought she could still be alive, and so they searched this shed where Tanner lived behind his parents' house, and they brought him in for questioning. As soon as they confronted him with the footage, he started to admit he was involved. At first, he told detectives that he accidentally hit Athena while he was backing out of her driveway that evening, and in a panic, he put her in his truck. Tanner claimed he was going to take her to the hospital, but she said she would tell her dad on him, and he realized he would lose his job and ultimately took her life. But then when Tanner was asked where Athena was, he refused to tell them and started talking about how he didn't want to miss his own child growing up. He changed his story and said that actually he would never do something like this, and that night his alter ego Zero took control over his body, and only Zero would know where Athena was. The detectives needed to find her, so they played along and asked Tanner if they could speak to Zero, and he apparently rolled his eyes to the back of his head and turned his neck like he was pretending to become this other person. He was then suddenly able to answer their questions, and he, quote, cheerfully drew a map and eventually led them to an area of the Trinity River about 10 miles from Athena's home. She was tragically found there in the water, while more of her things were found in trash at Tanner's house. That same night, he was charged in Athena's case, with detectives saying that he made inappropriate jokes, acted like he was the victim, and begged for 1 more month with his family. Again, he is facing the death penalty at his sentencing this week, and the state is arguing that they now have the full audio from his truck, and the only truth to his story is that he took Athena's life. They actually say that he arranged all of this in detail, and he was at Athena's neighbor's house the night before, planning and preparing. They've also testified that Athena fought with incredible strength, and that only the jurors will hear the audio and see the forensic evidence that they have found in her case. Tanner's defense is still arguing that this started as an accident and that everything that followed was a result of his panic and his mental state. They say he has dissociative identity disorder, and as a child he was exposed to massive amounts of lead, so he should be disqualified from the death penalty. The trial is expected to continue this week, and then it will be up to the jury to decide how to sentence Tanner Horner.